Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for jumping on. This video will be my garage shoe shelf build. I'm super excited to show you. It has taken a minute because unfortunately I made the biggest basic new YouTuber mistake and filmed everything in vertical. So what I do recommend is just turning to full screen and then just watching it regular on your phone. Hopefully that helps. But super excited to share with you. Let's get into it. This shoe shelf is the very first thing I built when I bought my house, and also the first thing I built 100% myself. I didn't do a ton of research on materials or technique, so while it works fine, it definitely isn't perfect. My biggest issue with this shelf was not the structure itself, but the fact that I do all of my building in my garage, so the sawdust buildup on my shoes has been a constant struggle. I'm including my cut list and build measurements for reference, so you can pause here if interested. 4 Eyes Furniture has a very helpful video on sliding doors if you get stuck, so I highly recommend checking that out if you want to do something similar. You'll want to carefully measure for the shelves and mark 3/4 inch depth for all of those panels. I did 5 here and did leave the bottom one taller for boots. So that is how I did spacing. You can do obviously however is most effective for what you have. This is really where the depth of this shelf is also important. I did 12-inch deep shelves for the average size shoe to fit those in, and then the sides and top are 14 inches so that you have space to leave those edge routed lines or the dados without running into them with the shelves. So the shelves do not go clear to the edge. This is what the router lines look like for the shelves. As you can see, I left a spot for the secondary panel for the doors to slide in, and so you do not want the shelves to go all the way to the end. Here are the shelf dados. I got progressively better as I learned how to use the router. This was definitely the first time I've used one, but they got straighter as I went. Next here, I am just filling pocket holes as I did so that I can connect the tops to the sides. If you've made it this far, it is finally time to assemble your shelves. Corner clamps can be super helpful if you are building alone. So here I am just attaching those right angle clamps just to help hold things together, keep it full right angle so that I can get those Kreg screws in securely and straight so that your shelves can be level and perfect. The dados are lining up. This is super exciting. I did not mess it up. That is such a big win here, so stoked about that. Next, we are going to attach everything with Kreg screws. I could have definitely used glue on these. I'm not super worried about this build because it is just holding shoes. It is not meant to carry a lot of weight, so I'm not super concerned. It is also attached to the wall in a later stage, so I think having just the screws attached here is not a big concern. I did actually get a microphone shortly after this build so that I don't have to voice over all of these videos in the future. I can actually talk through my steps as I go. So I'm super excited about that, and hopefully it'll make more sense as I explain live and not have to kind of work backwards. I don't know how interested everybody is in dealing with the troubleshooting and the challenges through a build, but that is definitely something that does happen. So I am looking forward to being able to tackle those live with you. All of these grooves and dados lining up so perfectly is super exciting, especially, like I said, since this is the first time I've used a router. So thrilled about that. And as I mentioned before, you don't take the top and bottom panels with the router channels to the edge. That is because you will have holes on the side of your build if you do. So that is definitely something to keep in mind if you decide to build something similar. The sides, definitely you'll go edge to edge, and then the top and bottom you do not. Here we are getting this stood up finally. It is square, and of course when you build, please take time to stop and celebrate, do a happy dance. It is a big accomplishment to build something with your own hands, so make sure you take the time to celebrate those small wins. Here I am just adding in the shelves and just checking for where they fit the most snug. Here is the moment of truth, standing this up and checking everything for level. Like I said, when you are doing the dados for the shelves, be super careful that they are exact, because if they are not from side to side, your shelf will also be crooked. So just checking all of that. I got super lucky and everything worked out perfectly. Super level, so what a win. Next, this is an extra step. I did decide to mark the center of each shelf and then go in with the brad nailer and connect these shelves to the sides. It would be wonderful if I had had a clamp wide enough for the whole shelf to clamp these tight, but I did not, so I just went side to side and pulled it tight as I went. As a side note here, this DeWalt 18 gauge brad nailer is the thing of dreams. I love not having an air compressor attached. It is so much quieter. You can just have batteries charged and ready to go, and it is phenomenal. So highly recommend that if you are in the market for one. There were a couple of rounded edges from the router. So here I am just taking a hand chisel and cutting out those little pieces so that the shelves on a couple spots will fit a little more snug, and then nailing them in as well. It is another day, so here I am just moving this into place and test fitting it. Unfortunately, this is also the day that I realize that even though the measurement is exactly what I did top and bottom, the wall is not flush. And so this is going to point out that it does not fit because of this door trim. So I'm going to have to remove that next. I took a bit of time and used the DAP wood filler here just to help with the joints as well as those edges of the shelves because I used a rounded router bit. There is a little bit of a round gap or half a circle at the end of the shelf, so I am using that wood filler to fill those in primarily. I do end up going back on the edges of these shelves with caulk later. So it's not necessarily to fill in the gaps, but more just to hopefully strengthen the shelves and help them not move as much, but primarily filling in those front gaps so that it looks super clean, as well as those few router lines when I was first getting started, and they're a little bit wiggly on some spots. So that just cleans things up. And then I went in and added these 1x2 pieces to help strengthen the overall shelf, as well as give me something to drill into the studs and attach it to the wall. So as I mentioned, this door trim is unfortunately in the way because that sidewall is not 100% straight and even. So I am taking this trim off. It would have made a lot of sense to draw the line of the shelf down the trim before taking it off, but I did not do that. So I ended up just measuring after the fact and making a line. I took it up to my parents' house and used their table saw to remove that little sliver off the edge before I put it back in. This will at least allow us to get the shelf attached to the wall and flush before moving forward. I did one more quick test fit here and then ended up just using the bracer on the back there to make a line that will help keep track of how far I need to actually paint on the wall, so I don't have to worry about it going above and having to repaint white.
Oh, feeling funky, amps in a trunk, and I got more rhymes than this cops at a Dunkin' Donut shop. Sure enough, I got props from the kids on the hill with my mom and my pops. I came to get down, I came to get down. So get out your seat and jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around, jump up and get down. Jump, 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 everybody jump, 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 everybody jump, 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 jump. I'll serve your ass like John McEnroe. If your girl steps up, I'm smacking the hoe. Word to your moms, I came to drop bombs. I got more rhymes than the bottle's got songs. And just like the prodigal son, I've returned. Anyone stepping on me, you'll get burned. Cause I got lyrics, but you ain't got none. If you come to battle, bring a shotgun. But if you do, you're a fool, cause I do to the death. Trying to step to me, you take your last breath. I got the skill, come get your fill. Cause when I shoot the gift, I shoot the kill. I came to get down.
I went ahead and sanded off the last of the wood filler and then dusted the shelves off just so it was ready for paint, and then did a second coat on the wall here so that we can go ahead and attach the shelves. After also painting the base and allowing that to dry, I went ahead and placed that and got this attached to the studs. After all of the paint was dry, I put the shelves into place and then went in and caulked all of the edges and screwed the backer pieces into studs so that the shelf will not move. As mentioned, I went ahead and used these backer brace boards to go ahead and drill the shelves into the studs so that it is strong and it doesn't move. So that is what I'm doing here. We even got a little dad shake to make sure it's sturdy. After that, I went ahead and wiped everything down just to make sure there was no remaining dust. Because the walls were not level and 100% straight, I did go ahead and use this backer rod to fill a couple of the cracks between the wall and the shelves, just to make sure I wasn't pouring caulk down the cracks. And this is a really great tool for if your wall is not flush or straight. You can just stuff it in the areas that need it and then fill in caulk from there. Finally, for the shelves, I went in and painted everything with 2 coats of this black paint. This was just a can that I got from my parents. They were not using it. They didn't like the color. And I like black, so it worked out really good. I do not know exactly what color it is. I think it's tricorn black, but I am not 100% sure. But yeah, I got everything with 2 coats over a couple days, let that dry, and then worked on the front doors. The doors are made of 1/2-inch plywood. They are cut down in 2 different sizes, just a little bit wider. So there is a little bit of overlap between the 2 to prevent the dust from getting in. So I went ahead and tucked those in and test fit and then got sanding just to make sure everything was smooth. And then made sure everything was fitting correctly. This actually worked, which is shocking. I am stoked that it worked. So finally, I just go ahead and paint these doors and let them dry and stick them in, and they're ready to go. The doors are a little bit still catching, so I'm going to continue to work on them and maybe sand them down a little further on the sliding, but it does work. And then I do need to add in some little pull places to open it up. But everything works. It's protecting the shoes from getting dust, and it is a completed project. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions, and go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.